Next on the DragonShip, we're going to be talking about Vox Day's social-sexual hierarchy. Yeah, you know, alpha males, beta males. Oh, yeah, not to forget the new lone wolf alpha, the sigma male. So whether or not you think you are an alpha male like Michael Sartain or Glenn Laurence. Okay, Michael Sartain, who all the girls want to bang and all the guys want to be. Or you're a beta guy, kind of like this dork over here. Or if you think you are the mysterious lone wolf alpha, known as the Sigma, we're going to break it down and we're going to talk about all of it next on the DragonShip.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the DragonShip, a rising tide that lifts all ships. Welcome, Randall, Paul Bauer, Raith, Deantior. Guys, we're going to talk a little bit about something exciting today, the socio-sexual hierarchy amongst human males. This is it should be a really interesting one. You guys ever hear of chick crack? Love chick crack, right? You know, astrology, tarot cards. I would kind of like to talk about, you know, this ABCs, Ds, and F and Gs of the social sexual hierarchy, all these crazy videos of sigmas that just recently came to the surface in everybody's feeds. Is it a good thing? Is there something useful to be learned here as far as the social sexual hierarchy is concerned? I think there might be. Or is this just, let's say, dude bro crack and a nice mechanism to feel good about yourself so you can achieve and motivate yourself into something better? And if that's the case, I'm all for it. But let's just be honest about what it actually is. Guys, welcome. Tell us what you're up to and what's going on with my co-host of the DragonShip. Randall, what's going on, man? Well, looks like Randall's frozen. So let's go to Paul. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Hey, first, before anyone in the chat goes off on it, let's just get it out of the way. Look, there was a wolf study that was done that disproves all of this, guys. There's a wolf study out there.
Yeah, that was David Metch's study in the, what was it, the 70s, where it was captive wolves. And this is where all the alpha beta, and it was useful for those wolves in captivity, but he later discounted it, Paul. He refuted it because what I'm seeing here is he refuted it because in the wild, those studies continued and it was not replicated at all in the wild.
Interesting.
So that's interesting. You know, kind of like the mouse utopia experiment. You ever hear of the mouse utopia experiment where?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I do a video about alpha, beta, anything, there's inevitably some douche in the comments being like, you know, that was just proven by the wolf study. It's like, first of all, we're not wolves. And second, you can see when someone has a dominant masculine presence. You know, you could see it. You can see
somebody's working on a book that says that.
It's almost like I took a course once.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, I mean, you can see it. You can see when a guy has, you know, sort of, you know, higher status in a room, and it's just how it is. You know,
right. But I do think in the course of thought, here's what I like. I like having that discourse because I've come up with some crazy harebrained bullshit stuff too. And fortunately, I've had good people around me to think about, and then I readjust myself. As part of us human nature, you know, we are adaptable. And evolutionarily, we're adaptable. I mean, you ever hear of evolutionary psychology? I love that because it really gets to the root of us as a surviving species. We have to adapt and become very plastic. So I actually enjoy that this was done, even if it's not correct, but I enjoy the passion that people have around this, both pro and con. I notice a resurgence of its popularity with this Sigma. And I got some videos I'll play here in a minute, just very brief. They're like a minute long. And it will go through what this actually is, how it's presented, probably the most accurate one. And then actually, Vox Day took it from the PUAs because the PUAs started adopting that wolf study, not the discounted one, but before, and applying it to how categorizing men on how they behave and why they were struggling. They hadn't quite got to the evolutionary psychology part, but why men were struggling with women in modern society as far as being able to connect as a mate, date, all of that sort of stuff. And I think there was some use in what they did, but then Fox Day had taken this and really refined it. It sounds really kind of interesting. And he kind of mixed it with some leadership qualities that men have. And we'll go through that because I think there's some grains of salt in there that seem to, not salt, grains of truth. And there is some salt too. That makes it kind of bitter, but it kind of is attractive. It makes it attractive to our inner psyche, I think, if you've looked into this. And I think it'll be fun to talk about it. Raith, how you doing? What are you up to? I know you've been, you did a class this week or something, or did you get a chance? Nice.
And let's see, working in a men's group. The men's group starts, we do meet the first Sunday. So we have a meeting this weekend. And just been working with guys, trying to get them down the path.
Get them down the path of success and personal success and get past some of the traumas they might have come up with in their lives. I get that. That's a good thing, right?
So, but I was just thinking, you know, if it doesn't hold true in the wild, so the men behave different in the wild too. So,
well, that's the fun part of a conversation like this. It's like the mouse utopia experiment. They built the best possible utopia for mice to live in, and they were brutal as F, horrible. And then when they gave them the freedom to live the way they wanted, it was a very different society, very different treatment. So I didn't want to go into detail of that, but it just, yeah, when people have freedom, it's very different than a structured society. So who knows? But it'll be worth talking about. We can speculate on it. Randall, how's your audio, man? Tell me what's going on.
All right, is that better?
Much better, brother. Welcome.
All right, thanks. I'm not doing much other than working and trying to work on myself, try to improve every day.
Excellent, excellent. So the first comment before we get into any videos, guys, take a look. Glenn's going to join us in a minute. As soon as I seen him, I'm going to get his take on it as soon as I see a face before I get there. So, Chad, I wanted to address one of your comments. Looks like he dropped out. But Vox Day's hierarchy maps better, in your opinion, including social and sexual dynamics. I think we can see that it does map in some ways, which makes it useful. And then I'm going to tell you why it probably is not the best model, but it is a model that can prove useful. So thank you for the comment. Appreciate it. Guys, super chats are available. I will always interrupt our conversation and give you the crazy war horn if you guys want to throw some super chats on RP Thor. I think that's the only place that you can do it at this point. We will get the dragon ship up soon, and that would be about it. So I don't see Glenn. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we, guys? You want to see how this is broken down in the sphere right now? Let's see. There.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Here we go. So, here we go, gentlemen. Let's take a quick peek. These are wise words, and chat, let me know if you can hear it. This is going to be alpha versus beta versus delta versus gamma versus omega versus sigma. This is in regards to male social sexual hierarchy, and it's a really brief video.
Welcome back, gentlemen. In this video, I will be talking about the socio-sexual hierarchy. The socio-sexual hierarchy, created by Vox Day, is a categorization system that separates men into different hierarchical ranks and archetypes. It's used to describe how men interact with one another, how they behave, and what their natural inclinations are likely to be. The socio-sexual hierarchy separates men into 6 different rankings based on their archetype. These rankings are alpha, sigma, beta, delta, gamma, and omega. Alpha male. The alpha male is the top dog of the socio-sexual hierarchy. He's a true leader. He's the charismatic, successful, high-status man that women want, and the kind of man that other men want to be like. He exists at the very top of the social dominant hierarchy. He's the king, and the hierarchy beneath him is his domain. Sigma male. The sigma is the lone wolf of the hierarchy. He's sometimes considered to be on par with the alpha in terms of how attractive he is to women, and shares many similarities with the alpha. But what makes the sigma different from the alpha is that the sigma archetype chooses to forsake the structure of the hierarchy altogether to strike out on his own. He forfeits the benefits of the hierarchy in exchange for the freedom that comes from pursuing his own individual destiny. Beta male. The beta male is the lieutenant of the socio-sexual hierarchy. He's second in command to the
The
alpha and acts
leftover.
as his enforcer. He takes commands from the alpha and makes sure that those commands are carried out throughout the rest of the hierarchy. You'll often see beta males in close proximity to the alpha. They're his trusted confidants and perform an essential role within the hierarchy. Delta male. The delta male is the worker of the socio-sexual hierarchy. These are the normal men who wake up, go to work, get things accomplished, and move the entire hierarchy forward. They're considered the most important men in the hierarchy. They're the men the lead of the alpha. Without delta men, no hierarchy can exist and no progress will be made. Gamma male. The gamma male is the intellectual of the socio-sexual hierarchy, but they also tend to be the most troublesome. Due to their intellectual nature, they often see themselves as being more valuable and capable than they truly are. They often lie or exaggerate the truth. They also tend to pedestalize women and struggle greatly with sexual success, despite the fact that they're the romantics of the hierarchy. Omega male. The omega is the loser of the socio-sexual hierarchy. This is the guy who never gets invited. He makes people uncomfortable, and they generally wish that he wasn't around. He's not attractive and tends to be a reject in pretty much every way. This is the type of man who's often rejected from the hierarchy against his own wishes. This is the most tragic and difficult of the archetypes. So that's it for today, gentlemen. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, this is Wise Words. Peace.
Okay, so that's interesting. Let me take that out of there and we can just kind of chat a little bit. I think there's useful information here.
Yeah, I really don't like the fact that they talked about me,
Hang on,
the
guys.
gamma male. You know, I'm the gamma / sigma all day long, and I really don't think they depicted me correctly. All right, you know.
Hey, Glenn, the outcast. Well, welcome, my brother. How you doing?
Doing
Glenn
good,
Laurence,
doing good.
Made his second round on Rule 0 today. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, thank you. It's like
Great,
they
man.
could become a regular thing. Who knows?
Well, you got a lot to add, so hopefully that will happen. And definitely some of your latest breakdown videos. I think we're past all the drama right now, but I'm trying to
until I start something, right?
Well, now, as the corrections officer and the master at arms for the Drakars, we appreciate your work. But we're gonna try to have a conversation today about this socio-sexual hierarchy. I think there's some usefulness here in that, you know, when I talk about acquiring a dominant masculine presence, I think that spreads across all of the hierarchy types, no matter where you categorize yourself, because that's really what counts. And it draws upon identity. And Raith probably backed me up on this. Identity is an important issue because he goes through a lot of work with the guys on acquiring their identity, gaining that confidence and authenticity to move forward in life. And I think that's really where this plays a role, is this socio-sexual hierarchy does lean heavily on archetypes. And I think that's where the usefulness is. I don't think this is a complete picture, though. And I want to jump ahead. If anybody has something to comment on what was just said, I want to point out that they categorize it into alpha, beta, sigma, delta, omega. And then there was that sigma. I want to go to Fox Day's stuff, and I want to just play the first part of it. Remember, this came from the wolf studies from David Metch in the 70s, mixed with the PUA stuff. They were trying to understand how they might do better with women. And they drew the conclusion, you know, wolves pack animals, humans kind of pack animals too. We have a lot of similarity. The trouble with that study is that, you know, it was discounted later because wolves in the wild did not behave like wolves in captivity, for which that study was based on. And the actual author came back and said, it doesn't work, guys. We need more information. However, they ran with it. And then Vox Day kind of broke it down further. I think it's a useful way if you're talking about identities and trying to understand identities. Identities are a fluid thing. They're very plastic. We need to, you ever hear the term, you got to reinvent yourself? We do throughout our entire lives, right? So I think it could be useful there, but I think it's kind of misleading too. Here is what Fox Day originally put up. This particular video is, you know what? I'm not even going to put that up. Let's put up what he broke down, and then we'll play what he said about it. He produced this right here, and I will share it. Guys, he produced this right here. The alpha guy, kind of the Chad of the group. And then the beta guy, you know, he wants to be the alpha guy of the group. He wants to be the Chad, but he's really kind of, you know, not there. Remember,
you know what's funny? The funny thing about the way Vox Day does it, Beta is not a bad guy. Like
No,
beta is not even considered an insult. Like the way that we modern days, with the way we look at beta, like beta is an insult. But the way that Vox breaks it down is like, no, beta is the guy. He's not the alpha guy. But you know what? He gets like, still some credit because he's the guy next to the alpha.
Honestly, beta shouldn't be an insult at all, really. If you look at it shouldn't. Because when you look at hypergamy, which this all sort of breaks down into, right? Women do want both characteristics, and really alpha is the the exciting, attractive type guy, but beta is caring and nurturing, and women want both of those aspects. So yeah,
there is that quality, and I think it's more contextual than we put it out there. That's my personal opinion. Having done the research for an upcoming book, I think that this is useful, but I don't think it's a complete picture. A lot of people get overinvested in this. I did want to point out that I kind of like the way Vox put his original video together with these categories. I think as far as organization is concerned, this kind of works. But notice there's no Sigma. Anybody notice that?
That's because he's off doing his own thing, man. He's a lone wolf.
No, there is no Sigma.
Sigma was too busy doing his own thing for Vox to even, catch him.
Yeah, but that wasn't enough for certain groups of folks, this is gonna probably hurt some feelings and things like that. But out of our MGTOW friends and our Black Pill friends, they didn't like this because it didn't address them specifically with their wants and their needs. It's my theory. It's my opinion.
Can I just say what I think the Sigma is, though?
Sure.
I really think the Sigma is created to be the guy that knows that he's not necessarily alpha, but he's not quite, complete beta. And he's like, you know what? I'm the real alpha, okay? Because I'm the combination of all of them, So I'm the Sigma. And I'm going my own way. Yeah, it's a cope. It's a cope.
It's a total cope. Well, I had a guy once, he's on an upcoming podcast episode. He says it very well. He's like, Sigmas are like next level betas, right? they're like, they can't get women. Yes. They can't, so they're like, no, but I'm better than all this. So I'm going to come up with my own term.
It's basically the guy that's been red pilled but doesn't take it into practice, right? Mm-hmm. He got red pill aware, but he's still operating in his blue pill frame.
Okay, yeah, let me just address a couple things real quick here. As this grew, this wasn't a part of it for quite a while. Vox didn't address it; he never did, and then a few years later, he did, and they came up with this parallel path, which this kind of complicates things. This is kind of the socio-sexual hierarchy. And now it's inspired by Vox Day. Now you'll notice I'm going to play something because the chat very much jumped on it. I know they enjoy this. I enjoy this stuff too, guys. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some value here. I just don't agree this is the end all be all. I think it's a much broader and I think it's much deeper part of identity than this right here. Can you pick useful tools from it? I think you can. But this is incomplete. Remember, wolves don't behave like this in the wild. So, in the wild, do humans behave like this? Or are we all captive and do behave like this? Interesting thought experiment that you can work. But let's get back to this. You got the alphas. Now you got the sigmas, and the alphas are equal. And the sigma sits outside of this hierarchy by his own choice. When I look at this hierarchy, and if this is how men actually operate, I don't believe you could sit outside of it. You wouldn't be able to operate in your day-to-day life. That is just not doable. But it does make certain group of guys that don't feel like they fit in feel themselves very good. Now, Vox himself, this became extremely popular in the Reddits and all that stuff, and he did kind of not discount it, but he kind of ended up considering himself a sigma eventually because he doesn't want to put it out. It's too popular. And I will play the video where he responds to it. So if you guys didn't know, I'll show you that he's starting to incorporate it. So now this is the hierarchy of the ranks as they were defined. And this is a pretty simplified one, but let's just go through it because this is where I think it has something very much in common with what the girls like about astrology and tarot cards. You can almost see yourself in any one of these categories. And this is why I again say you need to develop a dominant masculine presence above all of this, with the identity that you have created from the archetypes you associate with. That's what will be more powerful than any of these things moving forward in life. Let's go. Alphas. Alphas are confident, dominant, characteristic, natural leaders, highly attractive to women. Alphas are extroverts and highly successful in their careers. They thrive on challenges. Now, that's very interesting, and I can associate with some of that, but I can also point to, if I was to use the wolf model where this is based on, we have a lot of alphas that are sitting in prison. How does that fit here?
Well, I mean, honestly, that's true, though. A lot of alphas will be in prison.
Exactly.
Because they do not conform to the society standards, and they operate outside of it. They do their own thing, right?
Wouldn't that make them sigmas then?
There you go. That's where you could kind of see where it's not enough. So we have to break it much further. And I'll show you where this ends up. So the introverted alpha. Sigmas are confident lone wolves who do not seek social attention. And of course, us humans, we want to get understanding. I like this stuff. Don't get me wrong. I want to play both sides of this here and try to get to the ultimate basic tools that do help. Okay. And I may not get there, but I want to have fun with it. So the introverted alpha. Sigmas are confident lone wolves who do not seek social attention. Immensely confident. Highly attractive to women. Okay, I like that part. Highly attractive to women, as they are mysterious and charismatic. Okay, not sure how true that is, but man, that's the fantasy I'd like to live.
A charismatic introvert. Never seen one.
I did. It's so contra.
How much of an oxymoron is that, right?
It really is, but let's not. Go ahead. Let's
well, wait a minute now. Let's talk about introverts for a second. There are highly functional introverts.
Yeah, for sure.
So just
but how many of them are highly charismatic?
Well, I think I am. I'm an introvert. By all testing and everything, I'm an introvert.
But I've seen you function socially, so I would have to hold a little bit of reserve. I've seen introverts that don't function socially.
Right, and there's extremes on each one of those. If you look at introverts, extroverts, there's extremes on each one of those. But like I said, introverts can become highly functional. From and we're talking psychological standpoint now. So it's a spectrum, I guess is the best way to put it. Now, you asked about alpha, sigma, beta. I don't use any of that when I talk to guys.
I know.
Okay, and there's a reason for that. Because I think myself, I personally think there are masculine and male behaviors. All right, and you need to exhibit those behaviors and those traits. Whether you want to call yourself an alpha, sigma, beta, delta, whatever, I don't care. As long as you're exhibiting those traits. And when you exhibit those traits, you start developing competency and you start developing confidence. And that's what's important to me. I mean,
well, I think it's the key word here is, and this is charismatic. All right. You don't have to be avoidant or you don't have to be socially awkward, but to be charismatic is to be something captivating, something that draws people in. People are wanting to hear what you're saying. And I have not seen very many introverts that are charismatic like that. They have no problem public speaking. I had this history professor. Obviously, he spoke publicly all the time, right? But it was just like you were listening to him, and you really thought you were listening to the Peanuts teacher and talking in the background as wah 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 wah. But he spoke publicly, but he wasn't charismatic. I think the keyword charismatic is important there.
Well, I think it's your interpretation of charismatic, but like I said, it's a spectrum, guys. It's not like this guy sits in his home in the dark room. That's not an introvert. Introverts are people that don't particularly enjoy being in groups of people. All right. Now, I don't particularly enjoy being in groups of people, but I can function in those groups very well. All right. So, and I think I'm somewhat charismatic. I may not be, the ringmaster, the circus, but I think I'm somewhat charismatic. And when I speak, people listen.
Right, Raith. I would think so too. just
Don Levon, you are
just
charismatic.
out of curiosity, when you had your injury, did it change your introvert? I mean, did you become more introverted? Do you think? You know, you had that way you speak and all that stuff. You said it had changed due to an injury.
I think it forced me to work more on it.
Okay.
Okay. But like I said, from that standpoint, it's not. I think I've always been, somewhat able to function with people or without people. Not being around people doesn't bother me.
Right. I think men are pretty uniquely equipped to do that. In general terms, since we're kind of disposable in a lot of ways in society, I think we're better equipped to do that, having, all of our evolutionary history. But let me ask you this, Paul. When it comes to introverted, I personally think there's a cap on what an introvert can do socially, successfully, and all that stuff. You have to breach a certain social network and have that you have to have the ability to influence, and you have to have power and be able to influence. And if you are introverted and don't exercise that, I think there's a limit on how high you can go and how much success you can have. That's my opinion.
I would agree with that because for my day job, I work in information technology, and I've worked with all types of guys, and largely a big portion of the group of people that gravitate to IT are typically very introverted type people, I would say, for the most part. They might have their own little social circles. So some of this is contextual, but they might have their own social circles where they play, World of Warcraft on the weekend or something like that. And they might be the alphas in that group. But in general, like when it comes to the workspace, they're introverted. They keep to themselves. Yeah. They don't speak up. And you'll find that people that do speak up, that sort of make waves, are the guys that get promoted more. And,
Yeah, I think that's pretty broad. And I think that now a lot of guys, they feel suppressed and they have to do that because of our political environment as well, I think, Paul. But when it comes to, this hierarchy, I think there's a lot of useful things that we can gather from this. Let's move on to beta. Betas are yeah, go ahead.
Well, here's a quick question. Do you think, since it's all contextual, that we could be all of them?
You could. Oh,
yeah. Depends on the circumstance. Absolutely.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I think depends on the environment or the circumstances you're in. You could be the gamma. You could be the alpha. You could be the beta. You could.
Yes.
That's one of the things I actually tell my clients too, because a lot of guys get so caught up in the idea of women want guys with status. I'm like, well, you could build status in smaller groups. You could start you could start a poker game on weekends, right? And invite people over, and you're the one hosting. You have status in that situation, because you're the one hosting. You don't have to be a movie star to have status. So yeah, a lot of this type of stuff, alpha, sigma, it really just depends on what's going on. I would say this is sort of like Thor's main channel, right? Thor's main show. Thor would be the alpha of this show. Right? He's the host. So it's all contextual.
Look at my subtitle. Not alpha.
Yeah, God among there you go. See,
so God amongst men. Hey, I got a jet. I'm so you guys know I'm out here in Texas, and I had a meetup with AJ Matthews last night. And I have a couple other meetups and stuff I got to do while I'm out here. But I don't want to pop on while I'm driving or on the road, so I just wanted to hop in. But yeah, no, I think, you know what? I'm just going to end with saying, you know what? I'm a gamma, delta, beta, alpha, sigma all day long, every day of the week.
Isn't that stuff, though, super helpful for you in the acting
all day, day. But yeah.
Isn't this kind of actually helpful for you, though, when you're acting? This is a kind of breakdown that you would do. It's not necessarily reflective of everyday life, but don't you have to kind of embellish things?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is basically if we were going to break down a character of a film or something that I'm playing, I would, put him to a test like this. And basically going off of what I know of this character, it would determine how I betray him. And I might be the beta or the delta if I think this character is playing that role more. and I would embellish those qualities and those behaviors so much more, so that when it's on screen, you guys will capture it and be like, oh yeah, this guy's this kind of guy. You know,
and then reduce others or withdraw others.
Exactly. You know, but yeah, I'm gonna jet, guys.
All right.
Paul, I love our clips, dude. We have had like the hit of the clips lately.
Dude, did you see the one on TikTok? It's got 30,000 views.
Yeah,
I know. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
About the 3 a.m. rule, yeah.
Yes, the 3 a.m. rule is hilarious.
Just in case nobody knows, these guys just did a podcast last week on Paul's channel. Paul, tell everybody about it. It's really good. I watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long one. It's like 2 hours long. We go through Glenn's, marriage, his divorce, and how he was in the Air Force. We talk a little bit about that. We also talk about how he was falsely accused of grape, and that whole story. The whole thing is a very fascinating show. I'm getting a lot of good feedback about that episode.
Yeah.
See you, Glenn.
All right, guys. You guys have a good one.
Take care, brother.
Peace.
See?
Yeah, it's interesting.